Hey, good morning, KW Milwaukee, on a beautiful January 6th day in 2026. Here we go. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Gorgeous day. All right, here we go. I got a couple things to share with you today. One, I'm gonna quickly recap the 2026 predictions I gave you at the end of last year because I know what 3 weeks off does to a lot of your brains, and it goes completely out the window. So I'm going to go through about 50% of the things I think you need to be paying attention to heading into 2026. Second, I'm going to challenge you with the day one mindset. Okay. Jeff Bezos writes a shareholder letter every single year, and the shareholder letter's title is Day One. And it's the exact same thing. And I pulled the letter from 2016 because I think it's one of the most impactful in terms of his writings. And I'm going to share with you that because I think there's a lot of lessons in it as it relates to how we operate our businesses. And then lastly, if you've been paying any attention, we've had quite a bit of momentum. And I thought I'd share with you a little bit of our vision, where I think we are, where I think we're going, and what it is that we're doing in order to evolve the organization to better serve you, because we obsess over the customer. And you're our customer. We're a platform. We're not consumer facing. Our customer is the associate. So what does that mean? How do we view it? And what does that look like as we head into 2026? Sound good? All right, beautiful. So jumping right into it, mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. One of the things I'd share with you guys is hopefully over the last 2 to 3 weeks, you spend some time to, quite frankly, decompress. You spent time with those that you love. You spent time around those that lift you up, give you energy, because we're in this business to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. The beautiful part about the holiday period over the last 2 weeks is hopefully you took time to celebrate that aspect of in terms of how we live that motto every single day with those that you love and care for the most. I'll jump into this here more towards the back end, but a couple things right up front. Year-end reporting. We're currently finalizing all year-end reports. This includes 1099s, which will be mailed directly to you. You can expect them the first week of February. Okay. If you have moved, please notify us ASAP so that we can get you your 1099. Now, the reason why I know many of you have moved is because I send a Christmas card to every single associate. And the amount of return to senders that I got tells me that a lot of you aren't going to get your 1099s on time unless you notify Jen that you have an updated mailing address. Make sense? It's always a great time of year for me to send those out in early December because I'm like, about a third of our roster moved last year and they didn't tell us. That's okay. So just as a reminder, if you moved, make sure you notify Jen or Emily or Jen Church. Also, as it relates to additional reports and timing, the following reports will be later to you, no later than January 30th. This will include your closed transaction report, all itemized expense reporting. For every 3-cent black and white copy that you made, we got you. We get you, make sure that you have those write-offs, the deduction reports. If you made any contributions to KW Local Cares, any of those sorts of things, we'll have those reports to you by the end of January. Similarly to last year, we created a digital file folder for every single associate. So when those reports come out, you'll have those digitally so that you can share those with your tax and accounting professionals. Sound good? All right, beautiful. All right, jumping into quick education and events, things to be paying attention to heading into January. First things first, please note, I think sometimes people lose sight of this, especially with coming out of the holidays really quickly. January 19th is Martin Luther King Day. It is a federal holiday. Also, banks are closed on the 19th, so just plan ahead from a commission processing as well as closing potential delays there on the 19th, which means we will have no team meeting on the 20th. Just as a heads up there. Also, within the month of January, we are running the Ignite series. This week, I'm kicking it off tomorrow morning. The kickoff is all around mindset. If you need a little kick in the butt in order to get going and you need to put a little jet fuel in your car, come Wednesday morning in the North Shore, and I'll hopefully deliver that for you. Newbie is going through engaging social media. How do you build a business around social media in order to attract leads? And Mary Walgren is going through open house strategies, how she built her business in the last few years, dominating open houses and driving conversion. Now, the beautiful thing about Ignite is this. It's diversity of thought and diversity of approach. Learn from your peers because iron sharpens iron. We host Ignite twice a year, once in January, once in August. It rotates locations. So last year we did it in Tosa as well as New Berlin. This year we're starting off in the North Shore. And then I don't know where we'll be in August, but stay tuned. So if there's someone on here that you want to learn from, dive in. You don't have to be new to be able to participate. That's the beauty of the course, is diversity of thought and diversity of approach. Now, having said that, those that want to take the course, here's what I know. The world is run by those who show up, and those that do the activities, do the homework, and learn from their peers have a trajectory that arcs like a hockey stick. So my challenge to you is invest your time, energy, and resources into those that choose to participate in Ignite. Is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to noon throughout the month of January. Sound good? Beautiful. One thing I did want to go back to is to give you a heads up, tomorrow at 10 a.m., the KW Luxury Series has their Zoom call all around brand bold, designing a personal brand that attracts the client you want. The Luxury Series from a virtual perspective is, quite frankly, one of the most engaging I've found that KWRI offers. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on your radar tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you would like to participate. Next up, on next Tuesday, the 13th at noon in the Southwest Training Center, Cream City, will be how do you secure more accepted offers in 2026. I bet G is running an incredibly insightful course, right, G? All right. Love it. And then lastly, from a training and education perspective, just wanted to remind the group, family reunion is coming up February 21st to the 24th in Atlanta, Georgia. We typically send anywhere between 70 to 80 people from the Milwaukee area. This year's lineup, I think, is exceptional all around. How do you build influence to drive content in order to capture people to your brand? How do you create your vision? How do you articulate your value? So it's a great opportunity for those that would like to participate, February 21st to the 24th in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, with that, I'm flipping it over to Steph. Steph, there's some compliance updates these guys need to be paying attention to, such as new lock boxes.
Just new lock boxes, yes. We are going to help push this for the GMAR. So the new lock boxes are coming. This is next week already. So there are new features and upgrades, and they're a smaller profile. It's still a SentriLock product, but we're really stoked about the fact that it's going to be a kind of a touch and go system, sort of like the credit card system is, to tap the phone to the lockbox to open it up. And there will be a longer battery life as well. So we want to make sure that everyone is getting to the training, which is next week. So next slide, Charlie. The 13th through the 15th, you guys should have all received emails from SentriLock. All members who have not yet registered will receive an email from SentriLock every other day until the 13th. So they are being diligent about reminding everybody to sign up. So it's being held at the Embassy Suites in Brookfield. So all that information will be on those emails. So please look out for those. And the GMAR has also been doing a double duty of sending emails as well. So no excuses not to receive it. You will need to bring in your old lockbox stock. If you fail to turn in the old lockboxes but get your new ones, your access will be turned off. So make sure that you guys are compiling those and bringing them to the training. There will be a grace period before the old generation will not work, which will be shortly after the exchange in January. If you cannot attend, smaller trainings will be offered at the GMAR offices, but space will be limited. And then lastly, a big question we had about this, the current SentriLock phone app that you already have on your phones will be automatically updated. You will not need to download a new version. So please, if you guys are in town, make sure you're just going to next week's training. So it'll be about a half an hour. All right, next slide. Opportunity reminders. So from the file review team, we just want to make sure that you guys are uploading all contract related documents to your opportunities. So oftentimes we get that inspection amendment executed, and then we upload it to the opportunity, and then we forget about the more smaller details like close date changes or deadline extensions or any notices. We need to make sure that we are also uploading those for review in the opportunities. So please make sure you're having a complete file for us to review. And then as a reminder, to start off the new year, all opportunities are due within 7 days of any contract execution. So buyer agency execution, get it uploaded and submitted. Whenever there's a new listing executed, make sure that you are getting that uploaded and submitted, even though there's no offer yet. Okay. Then GMAR dues, a $225 fee will now be applied. I'm hoping to catch those of you who we've emailed. I sent out our last email on December 31st. I did get the exact date on when MLS access will be turned off, and it's January 20th. And Michelle at the GMAR is no longer sending reminders. So
I'll tell you, I've seen the list who has yet to pay. There are some substantial people who rely on their incomes for their families who have yet to take care of this. Take care of it. And second reminder, don't allow the lock boxes to prevent you from showing up to show a house.
Oh, yeah.
These are really simple things that you have to do in order to continue to do your job and not be embarrassed in front of a client, right?
Yes. Good point. Thank you. And then we'll probably revisit this once a quarter just to make sure everyone has our compliance helpline phone number. So please make sure that this is in your phone as the KW contract hotline. Yeah, so that is the model that we have adopted. I like Charlie's saying that it's adopted the model of the WRA legal hotline. So you'll always be able to get one of us immediately or within the hour.
And the goal behind it is speed kills. Speed kills. And so we recognize that and want to be able to make sure that we get you immediacy of response.
And then lastly, for the January contract trainings, because we are encouraging everyone to go to Ignite, Ashley and I are just doing a Q&A every Monday. So just come with general questions and we'll be on between 12 and 1 to answer those general questions that you have. So that's all I got.
Sweet. Thanks, Lieutenant. Appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm jumping into a little reminders of the 2026 outlook I gave you back at the end of December, just to kind of reset people's minds in terms of where the industry is and where I see it going. Last year in 2025, in December of 24, I gave you these predictions, and I shared with you at the end of December, the predictions were pretty close to being pretty spot on in terms of where I thought the market would go and where I thought the market was, where the market basically ended. So a few things I wanted to touch on as it relates to the economy as a reminder. Okay. First of all, job gains since pre-COVID, the state of Wisconsin's up nearly 3%. It's not obviously the Sun Belt, which is seeing a lot of increase in job gains, but it's a very healthy position to be in, and the region as it overall is growing. What you're seeing on the 94 corridor down between Milwaukee and Racine, all the way up to what you're hearing now of potential projects going up to Port Washington. And then if you've been paying attention to anything that's going on in Madison, Madison is one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas. And Madison's challenge, quite frankly, is growing west is actually prohibitive. So I think what will happen over the next 5 to 10 years is Madison's actually going to start growing east. And as Milwaukee as a region continues to grow, the east-west corridor on 94 is going to continue to grow in terms of where a bridge will be. And I think in terms of how that affects us, is it puts us in a really healthy position from a region and an economic standpoint, where the region will continue to grow because of the attractiveness of the business environment through a variety of ways in which they've attracted businesses and continued growth, whether it's north, south, east, or west. We're well positioned to take advantage of that in the future. Now, when you look at it from an unemployment standpoint, I shared with you guys this: the U.S. unemployment rate is the blue line, the Wisconsin unemployment rate is the green line, and you need a gainfully employed economy in a locally, regionally based business because people need to be employed in order to afford housing, and everyone needs a place to live. So the good news for us is we live in a very gainfully employed region that, again, is very suitable for transactional real estate. As it relates to mortgage rates, a lot of commentary that's been had over mortgage rates, especially over the last 3 to 4 months. And we saw the dip in mid-September to mid-October, and then what that happened to the industry as it related to October. And when you look at it from a historical perspective, going back to the early 1970s, it's important to note that like we're basically operating at what the latest 30-year average is at around 6.1%. You can see the dip that we had in October down to 6.1% was the lowest it had been in over a 3-year period. That is what spurred more of that activity that we saw because the commodity in terms of the cost of capital went down. And so what I believe to be true heading into 2026 is I actually, unless something crazy happens geopolitically, I believe that rate should stay right around that 6.1%. Okay. We'll see. Now, as it relates to the rate and the lowest it had been in 3 years, what it did is this is mortgage purchase applications index. And applications are indications of demand. And at the end of 2025, when you see here, basically at the end of December of 2025, we had more mortgage applications in December than we did of 23 and 24 nearly combined. Again, indication of demand, very healthy. Okay. It's a very similar report. This is on a weekly basis going back to January of 2022. You can see the trend line. As I remind you guys, I like trends that start on the bottom left and go to the upper right. And this is application demand over the last 3-year period. And you can see what the application demand has done as the rate has effectively gone down from the mid 7s to the low 6s, right? All positive news as it relates to what does that mean for us in 2026? Now, what is it that of the environment that we are operating in? As a reminder, here's what we basically have been operating in. Since basically January of 2022 to January of 2023, and then the successive 3 years after that, the industry lost about 1 million units a year, or 3 million transactional units is what you were effectively operating in less versus what we had seen previously. Okay. Previously, over the last since 2015 through 2022, we were operating in an environment anywhere between 5 million units and 6 million units plus. And then all of a sudden you went into an environment that was roughly right around 4 million transactional units across the US. So 3 million lost transactional units over a 3-year period, effectively, as it relates to how that impacts you, is the equivalent of what we operated in 2008, 2009, and 2010. The reason you didn't feel it as much is because the appreciation gains. And so you were making more money on a per transaction unit, which is why I continuously challenge you that you guys control your units. The market gives you volume, right? And so don't get drunk on volume because you have to look at your units and where your units are driving your market share and how you're transacting your units, because the volume will come because volume has continued to increase. Don't lose sight of that heading into 2026, because a lot of people you'll see post or will talk about, well, I did so much in volume, so much in volume, so much in volume. I get it. It's a great marketing tactic. And what did you do from a units perspective? How does that compare versus prior years? Because you really need to be measuring, are you winning or losing as it relates to your units as the market shift or share comes back and more transactional units come up. Make sense? Cool. And as a reminder, and it's interesting, I heard this from a lot of people. This is a great reminder for you as you reflect on what it is that you accomplished in 2025. If you grew or you were flat on your units last year compared to the prior two years, effectively, you took market share. If you grew or you were flat last year versus the prior 2 years, you took market share and you're in a great position to continuously grow. If you lost, you need to take a really hard look in terms of how you're managing those relationships as it relates to units. Make sense? All right. From a Wisconsin standpoint, a couple things to point out. Obviously you guys have felt it, but we had been operating in an environment. This is going back to 2017. In 2017, we had roughly 36,000 active housing listings in Wisconsin. And at the lowest point in 2022, we had just under 8,000 transactional listing inventory. And you felt the pain of that. From 2022 to 2023, the market was down roughly 38%. And every week I'd get up here and try and give you some sort of positivity to put you wind in your sails. And you know what the best part was? I don't think many of you really felt the impact. because you continuously grew. Now, the good news in this and the bad news in this, inventory is growing, okay, which is a good thing. And we also, as I've shared with you at the end of last year, we're dealing with recency bias, where days on market and a lot of our vital metrics as it relates to being a listing agent are going up, and you need to be communicating proactively with your clients at the risk of being expired, because we saw more expired listings in 2025 than we had in any prior year. And I really believe it has everything to do with recency bias and understanding where the market is, and more listings are coming up. And that's okay that it might take a little bit longer than 24 hours to sell a house. Be realistic in terms of when you go into your listing presentations on the front side into 2026. Here, I pulled the latest Southeastern Wisconsin as of November days on market, contract days on market, so you can see the trend line in terms of where things were shifting. Again, being proactive in our conversations with our listing clients as it relates to how long this will take and what value we believe it will sell for. Now, pricing impacts. Since Q1 of 2020, the state of Wisconsin is up nearly 64% in terms of pre-COVID price appreciation. This is my comment that I think agents at times have gotten drunk on volume. Focus on your units. And the state of Wisconsin as a whole is one of the best environments in terms of the return on the investment of helping your clients transact real estate and what it can do for their balance sheets. I believe that will continuously be true for a variety of reasons. One, I believe the region will continuously grow. Two, the lack of incidence and rate of natural disasters will be very much a thing that people will be paying attention to moving into the future. And the other thing that isn't so much on consumers' brains yet, but I've been kind of seeding this with you, the cost of insurance. And the cost of insurance premiums in our environment is what will make our environment continuously more attractive as it relates to people transacting into the future. Make sense? So, when you look at over the past decade in terms of house appreciation, US versus Wisconsin, again, you could see the US house appreciation line is blue, the Wisconsin price appreciation line is red, and you can see over the last effectively 2 years, Wisconsin is now pacing US price appreciation. Part of that has to do with depreciation that we're seeing in the Sun Belt region, right? And if you've been paying attention to Florida, because everyone wants to talk about Florida, Arizona, and Texas, insurance premiums have forced people to sell in those states because they can't afford the insurance anymore, which has then forced pricing down in other markets, which is why I continuously believe that Wisconsin is in a very healthy position as it relates to when you have clients who bought in the last 5 years and said, oh my God, what's happening in the market? Don't pay attention to the news. You're fine. We're in a good spot. And then the other piece of this as a reminder that I gave you was the high end of the market has outperformed the overall market in the last 12 months. And we always look to the high end of the market because the high end of the market leads us into a housing recession, and it's the first part of the market that gets us out of a housing recession. Because people that afford at the higher end of the markets have most access to information as it relates to what they do with their capital allocations. And what you're seeing over the last year is people putting money into real estate because they find it to be a safe and stable asset to their overall capital portfolio. And so we're in a really good position to be taking advantage of that, and why it's a huge focus for us as an organization from a strategy standpoint in terms of how we're continuously focusing on attracting the right resources as well as the right talent that helps us continuously push the boundaries of our market share position within the luxury real estate space. This was last year into 2025. And then you can see what real estate has done for people's real estate net worth in terms of people believing it to be a safe and stable asset. Lastly, as it relates to 2026 and things you need to be thinking about is demographics. This is probably the first thing I bring up when people ask me what I think the long-term future, 3 to 5 years, looks like in the residential real estate space. And it's simply this graph alone. Okay. From 50 to 65, these are everyone that is transacting. I think last year, I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I think it was 65% of all transactions was someone who was 55 years or older. They're currently transacting because they can. Okay. The truth of the matter is they will soon be transitioning. Okay. And they'll soon be transitioning where that transition inventory is what will carry our industry forward. And the second piece that will carry our industry forward is the millennial generation, ages 20 to 35, is the largest generation in the US labor force. They're the ones incoming to our industry. And so you have this huge generational demographic that is holding the real estate, that in the next 5 to 10 years will be transitioning the real estate. And you have the largest generation in the US labor force coming into the ability to transact real estate, which is why I'm very bullish on what the next 5 to 10 years look like for our industry. Okay. So here were my predictions at the end of last year for 2026, just more so as a reminder for you. I believe that our market closed units will be up 4+%. Now, that could be higher, but I'm conservative on the closed transactional units. I think closed dollar volume is going to be up another 8%, which means prices are going to appreciate another 8+%. That could go above 10%. We'll see what the spring inventory looks like and how people respond as it relates to rates. I think rates will stabilize anywhere between 6 to 6.2. I find it really difficult to believe it's going to be below 6, so I wouldn't be setting the precedent for it. And yet, with how the macro environment of what's going on, you never know that it might go below 6. But I would set the stage that 6 to 6.2. I think inventory will dethaw and unlock. I expect it to increase. I think more life events will alleviate the inventory of locked homes. By the way, if you didn't know this, and I meant to add this and I totally forgot, there are more homes in the US right now above 6% mortgages than those below 4%, which is a massive change. I'll make sure to pull that graph for you next week. There was a really great graph that the Housing Wire put out that basically said, we're going to start to see an unthawing or dethawing of the housing inventory because there's more homes above 6% than those with below 4%. And so we're going to start to see that flip. Demographics are in our favor as it relates to demand, and the Wisconsin advantage is the Midwest as a region will continue to grow because of employment, affordability, and the lack of natural disasters. Helpful? Beautiful. Just wanted to reset their minds in terms of what is it the environment that we're operating in and what are we about to embark on as we head into 2026. And with that, here's what I'm going to challenge you. As you embark upon 2026, you have to attack it like it's day one. No one, excuse my French, gives a shit what you did last year. They don't. You made your income, you transacted whatever it is that you transacted, both from a units perspective and a volume perspective. And guess what? It doesn't matter. So I shared with you in the beginning that every single year, Jeff Bezos pens a letter to his shareholders, and it's called the Day One Letter. And in 2016, he wrote a particularly insightful letter that I pulled up. I've put it this way. It's been on my ethos for a long time. I think about it a lot. And if you didn't know this tool, it's actually kind of cool. In Seattle, Washington, where Amazon's headquarters is, the name of their building is called Day One. Okay. Day One. Like he hammers this into employees at Amazon. And Jeff had an all-employee meeting. This is after the 2016 letter. And someone asked him this question. And I thought I'd share this with you.
Okay, I think this one is a very important question. What does day 2 look like? What does day 2 look like? I know the answer to this. Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. And that is why it is always day 1.
So I took his 7-page letter and broke it down for you, and then I correlated it into what I thought it meant from a real estate perspective. So here I thought I would share it with you. The stakes. What is day 1 versus day 2? Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by an excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. The mindset you need to be thinking about as it relates to our business is this: no one cares how many homes you sold or the families you served in 2025. Don't bank on your established reputation in order to carry you forward. The attack is you have to be hungry, you have to be lean, and you have to act like you have everything to prove and nothing to lose. Everything to prove and nothing to lose. That is where you are in 2026. Furthermore, within his letter, he talks about the customer obsession, not competitor obsession. And I think this is something we need to be here often in 2026, because I see our industry suffer from the comparison is the thief of joy syndrome. Most of our peers obsess over the comparison game in terms of what it is that somebody else is doing or what company is doing this, that, or the other. No one gives a shit. Okay? The mindset you need to have: customers are divinely discontent even when they say they are happy. They want something better, they just don't know it yet. The attack plan you have to derive, and by the way, if you haven't picked up on this, this is exactly what I think about as it relates to my relationship with you. Customers are divinely discontent. They want something better, they just don't know it yet. So what's the attack plan? Don't wait for a client to ask for a better experience. Invent it before they ask. If we are not obsessing over how to make the home buying or brokerage experience 10x better or easier, someone else will, and you will be disrupted. Resist proxies. I think we suffer from this in our industry too. What does it mean? It means process is not the point. As organizations grow, they manage to a process instead of a result. The trap is we followed our tried and true processes that got us to what made us who we are today. So it's not our fault that something fell apart. I mean, I hear this all the time in transactional deals. The attack is the process is a tool, not the master. If the process isn't serving the client or winning the deal, break it. We are in the business of outcomes. We are in the business of outcomes. High velocity decision making. Day 2 companies make high quality decisions, but they make them too slowly. In today's market, and I would make an argument, even though this letter was penned in 2016, it's more vital today in 2026 than ever before. Speed is a competitive advantage in everything that you do. Speed is the competitive advantage in everything that you do. You have to make decisions with 70% of the information. You have to. If you wait for 90 to 100% of the information, you are already too late. I mean, just think about that as it relates to buyers within certain markets, right? You have to disagree and commit as it relates to those that you surround yourself with. We don't need consensus. We need movement. If the team has a vision, get on board and run with it. You can correct a moving car faster and much easier than one that is parked. You can correct a moving car much faster and much easier than one that is parked. Embrace external trends. Don't fight the future. I feel this very much today into 2026. The world is changing. We have AI, we have shifting markets, we have new technologies. We have new commission structures. We have new ways in which that we communicate with our clients. There's lawsuits, there's legal threats, there's everything else. You can fight trends and lose, or you can use them as tailwinds. The example I gave here is how we were challenging you in a lot in the summer of 2025 around the 90-10, 90-10 model. 90% of your decisions or actions should take you 10 minutes or less to 90% completion of the action that you are trying to achieve. And the last 10% is your value creation of what makes it special. Move with speed and embrace external trends. So life is about choices as you head into and embark your businesses on 2026. We have to live with the byproduct of those choices. Choice A is you can choose to be a day 2 organization, harvesting on what you have built until you slowly fade away. Or you can choose to be a day 1 powerhouse where every day you wake up obsessed with the customer. You move with lethal speed and you attack the market as if it is your first day on the job. Day 1 energy is all about rejecting complacency, cherishing innovation, and chasing disruption. Because if you attack 2026 like day 1, you will be hungry, you will be incentivized, and you will be relentless. You have to be relentless. As a reminder, There are every person in southeastern Wisconsin knows 12 real estate agents, and 92% of people only interview 2 people. 3 through 12 are irrelevant. You have to be relentless. You have to move with lethal speed. You have to be obsessed, and you have to attack the market as it is your first day on the job. That needs to be your mindset heading into 2026. Why? Because I think the tide is going to continue to rise. And if you want to grow your business to heights you have never taken it to, you have to be obsessive over what it is that you've done. And you can't rest on your laurels in terms of what it is that you've already achieved. Make sense? All of these slides are available to you on the KW Realty MKE website. But if it is helpful for you, feel free to print them out and put them on your page, put them on your vision board, put them, wherever it is that you might need. I obsess over this letter. If you can't tell, I think about it a lot. So as we head into 2026, we've had a lot of growth and momentum, and I always think it's fair to give you guys transparency in terms of what it is that we're doing, where it is that we're going, and how I think about the organization in terms of driving our team to serve you every single day. Here's our flywheel, okay? The flywheel is this. The thing I obsess over most, and people ask me all the time, what makes you so paranoid? In our entire organization, everybody's an independent contractor. I have to earn the right to be in business with you every single day. If not, you choose to go somewhere else. That's a fact, okay? The way we think about this is, how do we capture your hearts and minds in order to serve you, to help you achieve whatever it is that you desire to achieve and reach heights that you've never achieved before. And the way we think about it is our flywheel. We have to continue to grow in terms of market share, transactional units, transactional volume, because we are a culture of productivity. The only way we win as a business is when you sell homes, nothing else. There's no margin built anywhere else. So we have to think about it from a growth standpoint in terms of how it drives productivity, because the only thing we are incentivized to, which is aligned with what it is that you desire to do, is productivity. Productivity delivers market share and influence, both for you and for us. And market share and influence leads to retention. People like playing on winning teams. They do. And so we have to continue to win. And how am I thinking about winning into 2024 as it relates to our relationship with you and our relationship with the external environment and who it is that we compete with? And this is what we call our brand's promise, and the team that is there that is set to deliver it for you. I've changed my thinking as it relates to, and this is, I think, something healthy to share with the group. Agents talk about their value prop. And at the end of last year, I was sitting with Mandy and I said, screw the value prop. The value equates way too much of money versus value. I said, what is it that we want to be known for, and how do we make a commitment? And when you make a commitment is a promise. And so if you want to make a commitment, what is it that you're promised for those that you serve or who you do it for, right? And so our commitment is, we want to be the premier residential real estate brokerage in southeastern Wisconsin, committed to delivering an unparalleled agent experience that empowers growth, fuels success, and enriches the communities we serve. We believe in custom-tailored support, dynamic training, and vibrant and inclusive cultures that make business both purposeful and fun. That's our commitment. That's not our value prop. Okay? And this is the evolution of our ecosystem in terms of how we segment our agent population. A new agent needs different things than an experienced agent. An experienced needs something different than our top people from a rainmaker perspective. You aren't all equal. We treat you equally as it relates to our economic relationship, but your needs are different. Look, those that are selling 100+ million a year have different needs that are trying to get their first million under production. And those that are 5 to 15 to 20 million have different needs than those at 100 million. And we have to recognize that and meet you where you are in order to serve you, in order to help you to continue to grow. So the way I'm thinking about it moving forward is, this is the evolution of our ecosystem, and this is a work in progress, okay? We believe that we have to grow and attract great talent, and once we get them into our organization, we have to have a team that serves them. Transitions, onboardings, integration, accountability, and engagement. We need a team that also creates an experience that's worth coming back to every single day around how we drive our culture, our events, and a variety of other things we do, such as the vendor program. We have to be hyper-focused on agent productivity so that we have aligned incentive. You guys are seeking something from us. We have to be able to deliver on it in order to help you grow, which is training, education, coaching, consulting, in order to help you get to where you want to be. You saw this and you probably felt this. We've created an entire compliance and legal team that helps you create deal success and mitigate risk. We have a tech and marketing team that's what's our service infrastructure in terms of your marketing needs? How do we create content both internally and externally? How are we utilizing things such as the KW MKE AI app to get you the answers you need with 99% accuracy within seconds, because we know that speed matters? And then lastly is finance and operations. You expect to be paid within 48 to 72 hours of a deal closing. How are we making sure that our processes are delivering on that speed? And so these are the way we're thinking about the buckets of our teams moving forward in order to deliver for you our brand's promise and our brand's commitment. Now, moving forward, where's to next? I get this question a lot. I thought I'd just lay the fish on the table because I got no secrets. Okay. I've told this to a lot of people. I'm an Irish Catholic. It's why I cry a lot. I cannot lie. And it is what it is. So this is the purple is kind of our current geographical footprint. And we have deep established market share within these footprints. And quite frankly, if I'm being honest, without going too much into data, and trust me, there's a whole 30-page presentation on data that tells you all about this that I built last year. We have opportunities to go deeper and broader in our deep purple markets, which is where we currently operate today. What does the future of the organization look like? Here's the truth. We're coming for Southeastern Corridor. We already opened an office in Racine, and we're going to connect Racine to Milwaukee, and we're going to capture everything in between there. So for those of you that live, work, or play there, we're coming. These things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, so be patient with us. The second piece of it, and you can probably read between the lines in terms of some of the talent we've attracted, we are very hyper-focused in the Southeastern Mequon, Cedarburg, Port Washington, Grafton corridor. Okay? And then lastly is the wave between, Lake Country, which is McGuanago, North Prairie, Waterford, East Troy, Muskego, the Southwest, deeper into the Southwest area of the geographical region. The reason why I share this with you is kind of twofold. One, I'm thinking about this from the day one mindset. How are we attacking the market? How are we serving you? How do we help you win? And what do we need to do in order for us to continue to grow as an organization, to reinvest back into the business, to provide you the tools and resources you need in order to win versus your competitive peers, right? Two, the other thing that's important to hear from us is this is the only thing we are focused on. We aren't looking at Madison or Green Bay or Chicago or going across state lines. I have a rule of thumb. I will take my kids to school every day, and I will coach any sport I want. So with that, it allows me to be home and to lead our teams so that Mandy doesn't have to get an apartment in Green Bay because we're trying to figure out how to fix the one in Green Bay. Right? But I share that with you for full, complete transparency in terms of where we are, where I think we're going, how we plan to win, how we plan to attack 2026, how I correlate the day one mindset in terms of how we live and breathe within our organization, because I think it's helpful for you guys to understand where it is that we are and where it is that we plan to go. Cool? So I'll leave you with this. Be a day one powerhouse as you embark on 2026. Every day, be obsessed with the customer. Move with lethal speed and attack the market as if it's your first day on the job. Your day one energy has to be all about rejecting complacency, cherishing innovation, and chasing disruption. Because if you do, you will continuously win because you become obsessed. And this game is an infinite game. Just because the calendar rolled over doesn't mean you stop playing or starting or whatever it is. You create the defined metrics in which you play the game. Nobody else. And those metrics are your goals. Don't let anybody else tell your story for you. Don't let anybody else tell what your metrics should be or shouldn't be. They're your goals. And play with the infinite mindset that time is the thing you're chasing. Make sense? All right. With that, it's 2026. Let's embark on a great journey, and we're here with it for you. Thanks, guys.